From Forex Traders Daily, this is your daily analysis with Ross Mullins, live from Richmond, Virginia.
Hello everyone, this is today's video analysis for November 21st, 2016. I hope you had a great weekend and are ready to get started trading this week. In today's video, I'm going to do a general overview of each U.S. currency pair in anticipation of this week's trading. And I'm going to highlight some of the key levels that we'll be looking for entry or exit opportunities. Today's news calendar is pretty light. We don't have much to speak about today. And we have a shorter trading week this week with the Thanksgiving holiday on Thursday. And of course, you'll want to be sure to check your financial calendars for the latest in news releases throughout the week. Okay, let's get started here on the USD, CHF, US dollar versus the Swiss franc. Of course, this currency pair has been in a significant uptrend. It's been running pretty high over the past week and a half or so, and we're reaching into significant multi-year resistance highs. You look back to the left-hand side of the chart, you see the red circles and the black circles over there on the left, showing you where the market has found key support and resistance levels around the yellow, the green, and the orange shaded area on the left-hand side of the chart. That's important because that's where we are right now. We're running into key resistance levels. However, there is the possibility of a continuation, so we need to be aware of that. We need to watch for two things here as we are stretched out, let's say, here on the US franc. It's either going to find some resistance and some pullback, some reversal before continuing the uptrend, or it just continues to push higher and we look for the breakout and continuation. We have some key levels to watch. So the yellow, the green, and the orange shaded areas will be our levels to watch for trading opportunities. Let's go ahead and zoom it in one time here. So for the day today, it's not too hard to see. If you're trading the direction of the momentum, the sentiment, the trend, you're watching for a pullback. Possibly this yellow shaded area here. Let me move the blue trend line out of the way a little bit. Possibly the yellow shaded area. We're looking at 1.0080, 1.0055 at the yellow shaded area. As long as it sits on top of it, I suspect we're looking for support. And there's history here in looking at that. If you look down here at the pink shaded area, you see the market got above and stayed above the pink zone at the 1.0, 1.0010 level down here above the pink zone. So once it got above it, stayed above it, continued to go up. So we'll look for that same thing happening here at the yellow zone. The risk here is that it breaks under the yellow zone, back underneath 0055 and goes back down again. So those are a couple of things to look at. Obviously, the green shaded area is your current resistance. The closer you are to the green zone would be discouraging to buy it. So if you're looking to go long and buy, it either goes back to the yellow, the pink to go long, or the next thing we would look for is for it to break that ceiling, get above the green zone, and continue its uptrend towards the 1.01 looks like 95, so actually 1.0200 at the top into the orange shaded area, just peaking at the top. So it needs to get above the green zone or dip to support. On the other side, if you're looking for a reversal, obviously the green zone would be your highest peak high resistance. Next thing you're looking for would be the breakdown of the yellow shaded area for it to go lower here on the dollar franc this week. Moving over to the euro dollar, something I want to start off with is the weekly time frame, because I think this is important, and especially if you haven't been in the live daily trade room. 2014 clear downtrend since January of 2015. We're looking at almost 2 years now, almost 2 years. We've been stuck inside this red box here on the euro dollar. Very important is that we're coming to the bottom again. Look what happened the last two times. We hit the bottom of this box into the 1.0405 hundreds. It found support, turned around, went back higher. We could do that, or if it breaks the bottom of this box, we could look for the continuation lower. So I just wanted to make sure you understand how significant these levels are that we're coming into. Daily time frame, there's your big red box. Zoom it in a little bit. There it is. There's your big red box. So you can see how significant that price level was the last time on the far left-hand side of the chart. Turn around and just went straight on back up to the top of the red box. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen now. I'm just looking at that as a clue that we're cautious about going short. Let's go ahead and take it on down to the 4-hour time frame. As we get down here to the 4-hour time frame, the pattern has been the break of the green zone, rally, fall. Break of the blue zone, rally, fall. Break of the purple zone, and now we're rallying. The question, of course, of the day will be, are we going to see it do the same thing? The pattern, is it going to repeat itself? We could take a little short trend line, put it something like this, and say as long as it's under there, there is somewhat of an expectation we could look for it to head on back down to the green or maybe the yellow zone that's peaking in at the bottom. On the other side of things, if it breaks above this purple zone, that's the risk in the scenario, and we'll look for it to go back up towards the blue shaded area as our next resistance. So at least for the day today, if we're going to look for the continuation of the trend, it needs to stay underneath 106.40, which is the top of the purple shaded area. If it can stay underneath 106.40, go back underneath 106, then we're looking for the turn back lower again. A break of 106.40, top of the purple zone and the blue trend line. Probably looking for some pullback here for the euro dollar. Moving on to the GBPUSD. Here on the pound dollar, we could see that black box was there. It bounced around in there for quite a long time. The yellow shaded area is probably our most important area to focus in on. You can see congestion right here at the yellow zone, support right here. It's broken underneath it, and now we're rallying underneath the 123.85, 124.25 level, the yellow shaded area. So clearly, sitting on top of it was support. Not too hard to see that here. It was support here, support here. Right now, we're challenging it as resistance. So for the day today, it's not too hard to figure out. As long as it stays underneath there, we expect resistance. That's the expectation. Resistance under the yellow zone between 123.85 and 124.25. That's the entire yellow zone. The risk here is that it bounces or breaks through the top of that yellow zone again above 124.25 and goes back up again. So that's the risk. It breaks up through and goes back up. Clearly, the momentum last week was bearish. And so if you're going to play through on the bearish momentum from last week, that's what you need to see, staying underneath there. Of course, clearly your first target on the way back down is the orange zone back into the 2320s, even into the 2290s. The orange shaded area, of course, under there. We could go back into this period of congestion that you see back here. Let's just take this black box from up here and pull it down here like this. Let me see if I can get this a little bit more precise here. Pull it down here. So we saw this range congestion down here where this lower black box is. Broke higher, congestion. Now we're back underneath it. The question, of course, is are we going to continue to go down or turn back higher? So we'll have to watch this today. But clearly, the yellow zone is our area of decision today. Under it, goes back down. Above it, turns back higher for the pound dollar. Moving over to the USD CAD, it's been a pretty decent uptrend. Not quite as significant as the downtrend. The red trend line was a significant downtrend. It's been more of a slow rise on the upside here for the USCAD, but it has been going up. Blue trend line, red trend line represent the uptrends. Let's go ahead and zoom in it one more time here on the daily. There we are. We can see the rise. Rising, congestion blue box, congestion black box. We're in a little consolidation or congestion right now. In fact, if I zoom it in one more time and we start to look at that red trend line, we see the rising lows. And if I take another trend line and put it right here to the blue trend line, we see some falling highs. So we are in a little bit maybe a consolidation right now here for the USCAD. Somewhat of a triangle pattern developing here between the yellow, the green, and the blue shaded area. We're closer towards the bottom. The blue shaded area would be 1.3425, 3400. That's the bottom of this consolidation or triangle pattern here that we're seeing here. So buying down here is a possibility to go back in the direction of the trend, close to the red trend line, the blue shaded area. Back above the green zone, of course, we'll challenge back towards the yellow zone in the blue trend line and the top of this consolidation pattern. Of course, above the blue zone or above the yellow zone, blue trend line, and the triangle, we look for the turn back higher again. Under the red trend line, blue shaded area, we could be looking for it to go lower. So we got that hinge point in the middle, the green zone. Above it goes higher, below it goes lower. So we're watching that. I don't think the green zone's a good trading op. I think the blue and the yellow zone are your trading ops this week for the US CAD. Let's move on over to the US yen. It's, of course, very stretched out like the US franc has been. Very stretched out on the upside here, reaching multi-year resistance highs. We're going back, well, let's at least say multi-month because the last time we were here was earlier in 2016. Multi-month resistance highs coming into the low 111s. Very stretched out. Very similar to the US franc. We either needed to go down into support or break through the resistance highs before we look for a trading opportunity here on the US yen. Zoom it in a couple of times here on the daily. Not too hard to see all the way up at the top. The blue, the yellow, and the green. Actually, let's go ahead and take it on down to the 4-hour time frame. Get us a little bit zoomed out a little bit. So there we are, sitting underneath the resistance high. Again, the blue shaded area is our multi-month resistance high into 110.80, 111.16. Don't buy it under the blue shaded area. That's probably the first thing I would say because right now that is resistance. If you're going to buy it or if you're looking to go long, you probably are looking for it back at the yellow zone, maybe close as possible to 110.10. That's the bottom of the yellow shaded area. Of course, a breakdown underneath there. We could see some further pullback to the purple or even lower to the orange or green shaded area. Fibonacci, if I was to take Fibonacci from the lowest low to the current resistance high, I would suspect we're looking at the 236 somewhere right around the purple zone. Well, let's try it. Let's go ahead and go from the bottom here to the current resistance high and 236 just a touch underneath the purple zone, closer to 108.80, 382 down into the green zone, 102.36 or 107. 36, the green zone down here. So again, we have the possibility of a pullback, but right now we don't really have any confirmation of reversal here. I think it would have to break under the yellow zone if you're looking for further reversal. So break of the yellow zone, look for further push lower. Above the yellow zone, possibility of taking another run at the blue zone. Of course, above the blue zone, looks for just the continuation of the uptrend for the US yen. Taking it on over to the AUDUSD. Clearly, it's stretched lower as well. We could see the market was in a free fall last week, a significant push lower for the AUDUSD. Finally broke the support we were looking at the orange shaded area, bottom of this black box, but finally broke that support. 74.50, continued to go down. Blue shaded area, somewhat of a hinge point today, I would think. If you look here at this blue zone, one of two things is going to happen. It finds resistance here right around, we'll say, just underneath 7,400, the top of the blue zone. If it stays under 74, we look for the possibility of taking a run back at the lows at the purple shaded area. If it breaks above 74, which is top of the blue zone, we're back at the orange zone. So that blue zone is your key decision point today. Underneath it goes back down. You can see the history of that back on the left-hand side of the chart. Above it goes back up towards the orange zone. So if you're looking to go short today, based on last week's momentum, you're probably looking at this blue zone under 7,400 as an opportunity, targeting back to the purple zone or lower. If you're looking for a reversal and an opportunity to go long here on the AUDUSD, I think that's what you need to see, the break of that price ceiling at 7,400. Take it down to the 4-hour time frame. Probably doesn't change it too much, except for the fact that you see that dip to the purple zone, the bounce back up. We often talk about those hooks back into resistance. So again, if you're looking for an op today on Aussie dollar, 73.80, 7,400 becomes at least your lowest risk opportunity to do that. Let's go ahead and do one more thing here on this currency pair. I'm going to take Fibonacci from the highest high on the chart down to the current low. And that puts the 236 a little bit above the blue zone back into 74.20. Of course, we could always take Fibonacci a little bit differently. Let's take it from this little period of congestion here. And that gets our 236 a little bit closer, the 382 just above the blue zone. So anyway, this blue zone, probably your key decision point. Below it goes back down, above it goes back up for the New Zealand dollar, or sorry, the Australian dollar today. Next, moving over to the New Zealand dollar. Similar situation, we're stretched lower. We finally saw the turn lower last week that we've been looking for, moving close but not all the way down towards the 69.75 level, just underneath the 70 level, 70 or 0.7 thousand, I should say. Look back to the left-hand side. The red circle shows us resistance at the purple zone, support at the orange zone, where the red circle is on the left-hand side of the chart. So we know that the blue zone, or purple zone, sorry, and blue trend line are a significant decision zone. Look just to the left of the current market price. This little blue circle right here shows us our last support here. We're underneath that today. Let's zoom it down to the 4-hour time frame. So zoom out one time here. So you look back here where the blue circle is support back here. We know that that has potential to be resistance. So blue circle support, purple shaded area, resistance, purple shaded area. Zoom it back in now. So there's one of two things that are going to happen today, and that's pretty hard, pretty easy to see. If it stays underneath 70.60, 70.60, that's the top of the purple zone. If it stays underneath there, we look for it to turn around and go back down. If it breaks 70.60, top of the purple zone, we're likely looking for a little bit of a pullback towards 7,100, which is this blue shaded area that sits just above the market. Let's see if I can get that selected and pulled over a little bit for us. So the blue zone, above the purple zone, the blue zone becomes your target for resistance. Under the purple zone, another run and another challenge back towards the orange shaded area will be what you're looking for. So key area right here. I don't think we have enough significant news to cause anything dramatic to happen today. 10:30 a.m. we have some low impact news out of Australia. That is leading index information out of Australia. We have at 4:45 p.m. today, we have some news out of low impact news out of New Zealand as well, visitor arrivals. So I don't think there's any significant news on the calendar today to impact the market. We might look for some profit taking this week prior to the Thanksgiving holiday on Thursday. But again, you need to use some appropriate risk strategies in all cases, and I hope that this will give you some opportunities to look for as you go through your trading week.
From Forex Traders Daily, this has been your daily analysis with Ross Mullins. If you would like to get Ross's analysis on all the currency pairs he's watching and all the trades he takes today, join him in his live trade room by clicking on the link below. Please leave any comments you have about today's video in the comments section below.